Hello, this is day 1 of me learning how to code, and we'll see how long it takes me. First, go to flutter.dev and select your device. To do that, click Get Started and the type of app you want to create, which was Android in my case. Basically, Flutter uses Dart as a programming language, which can be used to make apps in any device that you want. And then you follow the instructions in this page thoroughly. I'll summarize it for you. Basically, you have to download Git, Android Studio, and any text editor or IDE. I did download Visual Studio Code since there was a Flutter extension already, and you can read through for the configurations. Today I learned how to launch my emulator to test my apps, and I'll show you how. In order to do that, you have to go to Android Studio first and go to SDK Manager. Here, you make sure you have the latest Android device installed. Go to SDK Tools, make sure all of these are checked. Now click More Actions again and go to Virtual Device Manager. You can create your own virtual device by clicking there. Now you can select the dimension of the Android device you want. Click Next and download the latest API. Now this might also take a while, so sit back a bit. You can now come back here and launch your app by clicking this icon right here. There is my Android device. However, there is an easier way to open this via VS Code. This is day 3 of me learning how to code. Today we learned how to build our first app. First, we have to make a folder, and the path to it is your choice. For example, I'm making it in desktop. You can name it anything you want, such as Flutter Project in my case. Now you can make and store your Flutter projects here. To do that, you simply have to open it in Terminal. Now make your app by typing Flutter create and the name of your app, and they will make it for you. Now open your Visual Studio Code and open folder. Navigate to where your project is and select. You can now conveniently work with all the folders here. But first, as I promised yesterday, this is how you launch an emulator via VS Code. Open your command palette by Ctrl-Shift-P, type Flutter, and you'll see all the commands. One of them will be Launch Emulator, which I already have. Click on that and your device that you want to open. There it is, my device 4 of me learning how to code. Today we're running our first app, but before that, I'd like to recommend some settings to you. First, go to View, and in Appearance, you'll find the status bar. Now what that does is, it creates a bar where you can also pick your device to see how your app is looking on different devices. Like you can see, I have all the options for my apps. Now to run the app, if you go to the lib folder and click on main Dart, you'll get this code for a simple app. To run, there's this run on top, but there's a better way I'd suggest is the run here. Has the start debugging and run without debugging options, which I can see if there's any error or if something goes wrong. This little icon also opens. You can move it around and you can control the app by stop or restart after it was done debugging. Now we have our first app here. It is a very simple app. As you click this button, the number is supposed to go up. And that's it for today. This is day 5 of me learning how to code. Today we're gonna be making our first change to the code. And if you scroll down here, you'll see this text widget right here. You'll see text here, text, and text. Let's say you have to push the button this many times. Now let's say I change it to you push the button this amount of times. Now if you come up here, you'll see that it's not saved by this big dot right here. We can save it by Ctrl-S, and there you go. Now we run the app. So sometimes Flutter fails to make changes in the app, so you can always press this flash button again to force Flutter to take a look again. Now if we go back to the app, we should see the changes. There you go. You push the button this amount of times and it's still the same app. Alright, so today we'll have a brief talk about this one important concept we have to learn. Yesterday we tried editing a text. Now if you scroll back here, you'll see this thing called Material app. It is called that because Flutter uses Material Design, which is a Google's flexible design system. It is a set of suggestions, rules, and guidelines to help build a beautiful user interface. Flutter embraces this design by using Material app widget here, and we're going to be using this throughout the course. It contains base styles and rules that ensures mobile interface will always look nice, but it is still highly customizable and extendable beyond Google. So in summary, the Material app will be the reason for a lot of base styles in the app, and the foundation on which we build up to apply our own styles as we learn. So from tomorrow, we'll be exploring Pro Flutter and Dart syntax, understand and write code actually, and work with widgets, which is all Flutter is about. Thank you for watching. That's it. Hello, this is day 7 of me learning how to code, and if you're new here, you can check my page anytime to follow along from the beginning. So before we start learning our own app, I'll walk you through the important folders and files created when we created our initial Flutter app. Firstly, the most important main.dart file that we already worked our codes on. It contains the format of your code, such as the coloring and certain highlighting or syntaxes that help you catch typos or do many other things. Now these folders that carry platform names like Android, macOS, web, or Windows simply contain platform-specific files. Typically, you don't have to do anything to those files in those folders. Instead, Flutter will change and configure those files for you when it needs to. They will be managed by Flutter, but they will still be important since they work under the hood when you run your Flutter project in your Android or iOS simulator. And also later when you prepare the app for deployment to be published in the Android store or App Store, the file in the respective platform folder will be important. The build folder here is also managed by Flutter to store temporary files and output files as it builds the app for different target platforms. So you don't need to change anything typically, but it is an important folder managed by Flutter automatically for you. Now in the test file, it also contains the Dart files, but instead of writing the code for your main app, it is used to write code to test code for your main code. You can use automated tests to catch any errors before needing to do it manually. Automated testing is an advanced topic though, but it can be kept around, although we won't be using it in this course. Now lastly, we have these files that start with a dot, which contains some configurations and other files, which is also managed by Flutter, so we can ignore it for now. But do not delete them, since time to time we may edit them throughout the course. And that will be it for today. Now I've walked you through all that. I hope you have a better understanding. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow from the next course.